I don't know. If I was president, I would make them all wear camouflage, and then nobody would see them.
Oh, there you go. Very good.
Yeah, that was funnier when I thought of it. Anyway,
we're laughing on
but here's the deal: if you don't make them, if you don't make them wear different colored uniforms, they're all going to blend in,
right.
and they're going to defend our country, and we'll never know the difference.
There you go.
Agreed.
There was a case this week of a student in Fort Worth who was in his German language class, high school class, and they were discussing the Bible and how to say certain things in German, and then he asked the question, in different countries is the Bible published in different languages? And he turned to a fellow student, reportedly he did, and said, I'm Christian, and to me being homosexual is wrong. For that, he got a discipline referral form and was written up, basically he's in a lot of trouble, and it turns out he's one of these kids that's an honors student and never been in trouble before, and the parents are fighting it now, saying, does he essentially, even in this era of tolerance and equality, do you give up your right to express an opinion as long as you're not attacking somebody ad hominem?
Mm-hmm.
Can't you say that? Can't you say, I don't like this group, or I don't like that group? Are you allowed to say that?
Well, I would think so. I mean, I think it's the basic First Amendment issue, but I think we have to respect people's opinions like that, Jack.
Do you have the First
Even
Amendment
those
when you're in
kids.
school? You walk into a public high school, do you still
as long as you raise your hand first.
Okay.
Yeah, but you should, you very well should. The First Amendment still exists in schools as it does anyplace else. What we need to really be careful about is to ensure that we prohibit this bullying type stuff, the antagonistic stuff where you're picking a fight, right, Trish?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if he espoused an opinion, and to me there's been a complete overreaction here. Aren't you making a much bigger deal out of it? By completely overreacting to it and censoring him and punishing him for an opinion. And granted, not everybody has to agree with that opinion, but I just think you're calling more attention to something that making a bigger deal out of it than it ever needed to be in the first place.
It seems as though we do this, though, it's almost sort of like a process that repeats itself over and over again. We start out where we have inequality and discrimination. We recognize that. We are shamed by the fact that people are hurt because of their race or their gender or whatever. We address that. Then we keep going, or the process runs away from us or gets out of our hands to the point where I don't want a gay student to be harassed, beaten, in danger, discriminated against. I want kids to just go to school and life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, whatever their happiness is. But now are we going to get to the point where somehow gay people are so fragile that we can't have any expression of an opinion like this? I mean, is that really progress? Have you really made it? If in fact no one is allowed to say anything around you? I guess we have. Okay. I'll take the silence as yes.
No. But I think there's a fine line between, like I said, espousing an opinion versus harassment. And I think an opinion that this young man offered up, he's entitled to his opinion. And granted, maybe he shouldn't have said it in the form that he did, but like I said, to come down that hard on him, I mean, it's not like he was, like I said, it's an opinion versus harassment. And I'm with Jimmy. If it's bullying, harassing, beating up, then yeah, absolutely action needs to be taken.
We had a conversation one time on the
maybe
show
you quietly
about...
pull him aside and say, hey, maybe that wasn't the best forum for which you to espouse that opinion or whatever, but I just think we've gotten...
Let's broaden it out. Is it okay to say, based on the amount of, based on the people I've met from this nationality or this racial group, I don't really like that group. Is that okay to say?
Man, Jack, I don't think that's bullying.
Right.
I wouldn't.
Because am I supposed to pretend I like everybody, or isn't it healthier if we just say, I'm not into that group. I'm not into those people.
Well, that question touches several different levels. I mean, I think that one of the things that you want to do if a kid is saying that in school is that you may want to educate them.
Exactly.
And educate them on the fact that we all are God's children. We have to live together. We have to learn to get along. that there may be somebody from that group that may end up being your
We can't
boss.
say we're all God's children in the public school. We'd have to say something like we're all evolved from the same apes
or something like that. Yeah, some of that nature. But what I think is that somebody like that needs to maybe be educated a little bit on diplomacy, because it's so important to you in the business world and the educational world.
You, though.
Yes.
When you're 14 and 15, you're not exactly the most broad-minded, cosmopolitan person that you're going to be. Hopefully, you know, maybe this kid will go to college and maybe his roommate will be gay, and maybe he'll discover, hey, you know what, I'm not afraid of them, or they're not trying to convert me. I mean, that's what changes your attitude. You can't really teach someone tolerance. They kind of have to pick it up along the way.
But as a Christian, our role is to evangelize people, and so if he wants to turn this gay guy into a Christian, which is the whole concept behind Christianity, you have to live a life that that you want to follow and emulate.
Which means that when you look at somebody, you've got to be open to the possibilities, not just immediately make it.
Right. I mean, how do you not know that this may not be?
Which is beautiful. But I also think it's okay to say, I think we would be healthier as a society if people didn't have to pretend to so much neutrality on everything. So if you don't, if you're really into, you know, Asian people, you just say, hey, my favorite kind of people are Asian people. I really like Asian people. What's wrong with that? Why is it offensive to say, I prefer this over that? I like women when they date will say, I would never date a guy with, you know,
a smoker
who smokes, or I would never date a white, you know, a white girl can say I would never date a black guy. But for some reason, when we talk about group preferences in other areas, oh God, it's just, you must learn to not think that way. And people do think that way.
Well, they do, but you know, I think part of the problem is that you have to learn to overcome the categorization of putting people into a particular category, because the truth is, it's just, I mean, I grew up in a boxing gym, and
so you have those preferences, you're stereotyping, in other words.
Well, you know, there are very few Anglos in there, and we run across, it was mostly Hispanics and mostly black, so we grew up with it. My father trained, and so you end up in there, and some of them become your best friends, but yet you'll hear other people outside that maybe don't know them and have never met them that will categorize. So I do think it's fair to say that, and I think it's honest to say that, and it's fine to expose yourself like that. I don't think it's diplomatic, and it's probably not going to help you out in the business world, the educational world. But the fact is that you need to take people like Louis is talking about and talk to them and educate them, at least give them an opportunity to say, look, you probably shouldn't categorize all people.
Because if you punish him, in essence, I think you've just locked in, right? You've locked in that attitude.
And Jack, remember, I come from really the most hated, disgusting group of individuals there are, lawyers. And in reality, I deal with lawyers on a daily basis.
Churchill graduate, so.
No, and I deal with lawyers on a daily basis, and I found
2 or 3 of them.
No, I know there's one. I know I found one that I like. I just can't think. I can't think of her name right now. But it'll come back to me. But by meeting enough of them and getting to know them, I eventually found one that I like. And so now I don't feel comfortable.
That's what Abraham Lincoln used to say, though. He used to say, "I don't like that person. I need to spend more time with him."
There you go. Right. All right. I need to spend more time with Jimmy Park. No. When we come back, we get the lightning round on 550 KTSA. Gang of 4 on a Friday morning. Over to the 550 KTSA newsroom. Here's Karen.
And you guys take all the pressure off.
Candidate Trish DeBerry-Mejia, Louis Barrios, what would we say, the dean of the... Guru, the...
Sounds good to me.
Chief cook and bottle washer, the Barrios family restaurant Empire, which is going from 2 to 3.
That's exactly
What's
right.
the target date on the Westover Hills location?
It depends. Two questions there. One, when we get our building permit, and when we get our CFO. So, you know, that it could be a year and a half, a year to year and a half.
Okay.
But it's in the works.
Yes.
In the meantime, you go to Los Barrios or La Hacienda de Los Barrios. They'll be happy to take care of you until location number 3 comes out.
That's exactly right.
And Jimmy Parks, criminal defense attorney in San Antonio, who, if you are hit by space junk today, give his office a call.
Yeah, give me a holler.
And save it. Don't throw it away. Bring it in, right? You know, NASA warned people
Look,
not to
we
pick up the
actually
space junk because it would have sharp edges.
we'll take anything for a fee. Small farm animals,
You're hit by
space junk,
anything. All right, if
old
you're hit by
furniture.
anything,
We'll take anything, Jack.
according to a new study from the National Bureau of Economic Research, there may be a hidden cause to the obesity epidemic in America. We know that's a problem. 30% of Americans are obese, and I don't just mean a little overweight, I mean obese.
morbidly.
That's a 100% increase in just the last 25 years. Well, these economists think that it might be because we're not smoking. That as the smoking rate went down, the obesity rate went up.
See, we
And
should-
you know, we all know anecdotally people who gave up smoking and gained weight, right? It does happen.
I think it's a good question for the restaurateur in the group. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, is he seeing more
Are you-
people eat off the plates as a result of no smoking?
Well, people, you know, I love big people. I love them so much. Because in 30 years of doing business, we haven't had one complaint from a big guy. Not one. They
There
don't
you go.
Yes, but you know, Trish and I were on different opposite sides of the smoking debate.
No.
And so
Really?
yeah, we really were. And so
But we still like
we
each
finally
other.
smoked the peace pipe.
Yes.
So
Not literally, of course, because that would have been wrong.
Right.
Do you think that could this be a problem though for where the government is constantly, you know, anti-smoking, no smoking, fighting smoking, the Surgeon General, those new graphic things on the cigarette packs? What if it turns out we need people to go back to smoking? That could be a very difficult U-turn for the government to make, right?
well, what they're saying now is that people are rolling their own cigarettes in Europe because they're so expensive to buy, and so yeah, I mean people.
There are people who are doing that here too.
He's avoiding the
Yes.
question.
Yeah,
Not
but it's
for-
that's a different kind of cigarette.
Not for the expense.
Yeah.
All right, another survey that came out this week, 83% of American adults now have a cell phone, and the majority of people in the survey say that they actually, and these are adults, not kids, they actually prefer text messaging to actual conversation. Do you prefer texting to talking?
No.
I do and I don't. I mean, I don't prefer it because I can't spell and I can't text. Now, I do prefer it because it keeps people from talking to me. And I like that. I like it when people can't talk to me because most of the people who I talk to, Jack, and this is a big secret, I don't want it to go out on the air, but they have actually paid me money, and for that, they want me to do stuff.
Right.
And so they call me asking me to do stuff, and usually I'm enjoying myself or I'm over at Louis having a margarita, and so I'd rather not talk to them.
Right.
So if I could just
money, but not have to do the stuff.
if I could just text them back and say, you know, I'm sorry, my phone's not working, I can't call you, then I'd
You
be
should
so much
just have
better
an
off.
auto response that says I'm in court right now, so you can get away
Oh,
with it.
that's good.
You
That's
can get away
good.
with it. I can't get away with it.
Except mostly the people that call are judges.
Oh, darn.
I mean, I think texting serves a purpose. I mean, like if I'm on the show,
Yeah, it serves a great
text me
purpose.
or
It means we
whatever.
don't have to
Yeah,
talk to
well,
people.
that's what I mean. No, not necessarily. I mean, I think if somebody needs to get a hold of me and they can't get a hold of me via the phone or kids or something like that, it's a good way to communicate if you can't actually pick up the phone and talk to somebody. What I am very concerned about, especially with my own children who are first generation users of technology,
Right.
they're not only, I'm afraid that we're losing the art of conversation and being able to strike up conversation and intelligently
That's a
good- well,
engage in
Jack-
conversation. And I also think that we're losing the ability to write because we all learned how
Oh,
to
yeah.
write cursive.
Yeah.
Well, they don't do cursive,
No.
and they're not teaching cursive writing
No.
in schools
Right.
because they're typing all the time.
Right.
So
have
I
you
think-
seen the handwriting of people
Yes.
that have never?
Yeah, it's horrible.
unbelievable.
So, yeah, I mean, I think to a certain extent, there are so many methods of communication thanks to the technological revolution, but I think we're losing a basic skill set.
Well, I think Jack hit the nail on the head when you were preparing for jury duty and nobody was speaking to one another. Everybody was just
Right.
looking at their mobile devices, and so that's very sad because
It's sad unless you're an antisocial person like
This is
me,
true.
and then it's a dream come true.
see, but if I
Because
was there,
this obviates
I
the
would have
need.
made a beeline.
I know you would have.
Well,
I know
yeah,
you would have.
yeah,
And then I would have had to pretend to be on the phone making a call. With texting, I have the the advantage. There's so many conversations that really don't need to be had.
That's what I
and you
want to
can
ask
just-
now, Mr. Antisocial. Is,
Yeah.
but if we look at the text messaging, is there more substance there
No.
than there is in our normal
None.
conversations of how's everything going today? How's the weather up in Bernie?
It's LOL.
Yeah.
JK.
Jake, I
So
mean,
it's still just as inane as the conversation.